And here we are again, standing at the old gate of the garden. And the date is, well, we're just about at the end of the month of August. This year, as a general synopsis of this garden year, has been a good year. We've gotten lots of squash and beans and a lot of things. And I don't have a lot of squash to show you on here, but I have taken a lot of still pictures of them. Here are the pots of cucumbers and such. There's still a few of these ambling in, but they've kind of gone down to being very slow. There's one right down there. And in here, this is amazing at the end of August to have a squash plant looking this healthy. Past years, they've withered and died by this point. This is predominantly yellow summer squash. I think you can see one down there forming. And there are others. And anyways, this is the Swiss chard. We've been picking this repeatedly. It's delicious. It grows all summer long. I love it. Wish we could grow spinach as readily, but I've actually learned to rather very much like Swiss chard over the years. So that's very good. This is my second crop of beans, just starting to flower, bush beans. That's what this is. That's the first crop over there. They have not reflowered, but I think they may be just beginning to. In fact, I see one right down there. I see it. But, oh yeah, there's a few of them. So there may be a little bit of rebeaning on that. And just beginning to flower are the other beans here, the pole beans, which have been being eaten up by, well, you can see. See where there should be leaves on the other side there? And there aren't. We've had deer hanging around here. I'm pretty sure that's deer damage, and not because the woodchucks are not generally brave enough to go to the side of the garden and get trapped. But the deer will, and I've seen them out here, so I think they're nibbling all that away. And I don't know if that means they'll nibble away the beans when they come. I think next year all these pots here are going to be gone, and I'm going to plant everything in the ground, because these are all in pots. You can't see the pot there, but and look how they're not doing very well. So it definitely pays to put it in the ground. So that's where it's going to be, mon ami, next year. I'm going to rip these out, dump the trays. Probably get rid of them, I don't know. Maybe not. Let's keep a few of them, but don't really need them for much. They don't seem to work well for this in any case. So definitely 2 years in a row has shown me that the beans much prefer to grow from the ground. Just not enough soil in those things. Here's where a lot of the cucumbers were also. There's several other places that they are growing. I've had some on the porch I got, and a couple of other places, but there's not too much of the cucumbers. I don't know if I said that, but these are the cucumber plants. Not too much of them coming in anymore, but we've gotten an amazing amount of them this year. Usually I don't get enough. There's still a few forming, but they're pretty much dying, as you can see. Again, more squash plants here. Whoops, sorry about my finger. And amazingly, still healthy. So there may yet be some more from these. Some are zucchinis. I'm looking carefully. Some are yellow squash. But this is utterly amazing. Oh, there's a yellow squash in there coming out. So this is good. This is real good. This one and the one next to it have died. In fact, the one next to it is completely dead, as you can probably see. Gone. And this one's close to gone. But there's this plant here. It's a Trombosino, and you can see it has powdery mildew. Just starting to get some of that. I don't know, but I think the relatively dry weather has been combating it. We've gotten a bunch of Trombosinos, and yes, there is one forming here. Yet another forming right down there. I've got a couple of them in the refrigerator rather. This is what I put on over these Brussels sprout plants, and it seems to do the trick of keeping the woodchuck at bay. But what's better than that, and I'm going to use next year, I'm just going to make some up. This seems to be the ultimate solution, is right here. Look at the quality of the leaves on the top of this. They're big, they're full, they don't have as many holes from the little worms. I should have plucked them off earlier. They may still be going on these things, I don't know. But you can see there's lots of holes in these. And then where these poke out through the side, you can see that the critters are pulling on them. The woodchuck must be getting in here somehow. I cannot figure out where he's getting in here, or where he did get in here. But I'm assuming he still is getting in here. I don't know where it is. I haven't figured it out yet. He's got a hole coming up in here somehow and on the outside, but I've looked around and looked around. I can't seem to find it. But he ain't doing much damage with this stuff over it, and if I had these metal cages here, he wouldn't be doing any. I'd pretty much frustrate the hell out of him on his favorite, the Brussels sprouts. He'd still get beans, but funny thing is he hasn't been eating the beans, other than the ones, the pole beans over there on the side, some of them. So really not too much damage from him this year, so that's a good thing too. Anyway, that's all squash plants doing well. Here's some more. So yeah, lots of squash plants, and we've had lots of squash. Here's another trombosino or two. I don't know how many of these we'll get. Looks like 3 of them here starting up. I don't know if they'll actually come through, but it has enough strength to do it. These trombosino plants are interesting. They send out a runner. Oh, here's another one here. Just trying to start. They send out a runner from the main plant, which is like down there. And they send this runner out, and then the runner sends out roots and puts those roots down on the ground where it is. So literally, I have a case, which I'll show you, where the plant itself is pretty much dead, but the vine lives and produces. So, and I think that's a trombosino one there too. So we had a lot of them that did come through. We are finally getting tomatoes. The plants themselves are dying very rapidly. The tomatoes that have formed are maturing. These are extremely sweet, kind of like Romas. But I really wish we had the sweet 100s, because the sweet 100s, which I took one plant, I bought one plant, and it was from, geez, I'm trying to think, I think it was a hardware store. That was the sweet 100s, and I don't know what happened to it, because there's no sweet 100s growing out here at all. All the tomatoes are these oval shaped ones. They do really well with a lot of rain. They do really well. But is that on the plant? Yeah, it is. Okay. Oops, sorry. There's some that have dropped off of it. And even when they drop off, you're going to see they don't split. These are very edible. And when it rains, they don't split. So that whole splitting problem that small tomatoes have, they don't have. And yet they're just as sweet. So in a lot of ways, it's like, well, who cares if they're round or oval? Sounds like somebody's bike has managed to make it over behind my house. So this looks like one of the next tomatoes I may pick and eat. Nice big beefsteaker. There's lots of them here coming in. Not all beefsteakers, but, and then there's some that have dropped and rotted like down there. But they're all coming in at once, and this is the real disappointment of the year, is the tomatoes. And they're not, a lot of them aren't looking all that good. Look at this. That looks like crap. And those look like crap. So I'm not getting a lot of tomatoes, and I'm certainly not getting a lot of healthy looking tomatoes. And over here, catmint. I'll see if I can harvest some of that this year and dry it out and pulverize it in a mill. A mill I may be buying Judy a new one of. These are Jerusalem artichokes that I have not harvested much of any of. And I just need to do it. They didn't grow much last year because they didn't get much water. But there's like 2 groups of them. There's this group, which is really big this year, and then this group here, which is not quite so big. And I just need to pull them out. So I guess that's the biggest majority. These are irises that you can plant anywhere. They keep invading everything. They're very invasive. And when I chop them out, I planted them on the other side of this fence. Now they're in here. So I'm going to have to chop the ones in here out at some point. And we'll move them somewhere that I figure they can't grow. Maybe behind my shed. That'd be an interesting place to put them. There's practically no sunlight there at all. Would that kill them off? I don't know. They're very adaptable. I've got them in little places all over here that I put them just for chuckles to see if they'll grow. And they grow every time. And the morning glories, again, survivors. I'm thinking I will now probably chop down these blackberries. They didn't prevent the critter that much from getting in. And I would like to have the wall of glory be as glorious again next year. It plant itself. So this is a squash plant down here too that I've gotten a few good ones off of. I put them everywhere, so I was giving some squash away. So yeah, this is a mess, and I will trim it out next year. There's stuff in here other than raspberries or blackberries too. So, and this whole row here, I got to pull this stuff out because it's garden area. A lot of this stuff that's growing like in the rows here, I'm not going to pull out. I'm going to put, next year I'll put, like I did over there, the black plastic strips of it in between, because if I don't, then it ends up looking like this row in between, see? If I put the black plastic down in between, then it ends up being like this. You can see the difference there. So that's what I'd be doing a lot more of next year, just buying a lot of black plastic and putting it in there. And I may not hill up stuff as much either, because that's what tends to just do in my back. So I may just not have so much of a raised garden. We'll see. Ultimately, it may just be even with the ground. So, I guess that's the long and the short of it, garden-wise here. Now we go outside the garden to a few things that are worth looking at as time goes along. And I think I covered these before, but I'll cover them again. First we'll start with rhubarb, which is pretty much dead at this point. Yeah, I see just like a couple of leaves sticking out here, and there was another plant here somewhere. It did horribly this year. Oh, here it is. It's over here. Probably need to clear this area. Probably light starved. I don't know if you can see it in there, but it's to the left of that plant. So again, that's why I think I need to do away with these blackberry bushes. Just keep cutting them down when they come up. Then all along the edge on the opposite from the fence. Yes, there's an airplane coming. It's gonna get loud. Very loud. So, tons and tons and tons. You can't see them too well because they're covered by leaves, but just tons of grapes I'm gonna have to pick in just about a month. They're not ready yet, but at the end of September, which is next month, and into October, these guys will be ready, and there's a crap load of them. So I'll be taking those out and mashing them into juice and drinking the juice little by little. There's tons and tons and tons of them. A hell of a banner year for these. And they're up in the tree too, but these are all the low-hanging fruit. They're all up through here. You can't see them too easily, but they're there. Believe me, they're there. So, and then there is also the apples, which continue to ripen. I don't know that they're growing a lot, but you know, maybe they are actually. They may still be growing a little bit, but there are just tons of these up on the tree here. You'll probably see them better from over here. Oh yeah, yeah, you can see them a lot better. are everywhere on this tree, all the way up. Tons and tons of them. Yep. And our neighbor has one. He says I can have all his too. So I don't know. We'll see how much cooking and baking I feel like doing with these. But if I feel like I need more, I'll go and get his. All right, now for the trek all the way down to the front yard here. You can see I have quite a piece of land. Now often I talk about the path of destruction. Past that tree going straight forward is the path of destruction that goes all the way back to the back extent of my yard where there's a dirt road. And there's lots of woods in there. So I actually own a good deal of land. I would gladly give it away if it would lower the taxes. But you can't do that. The amount of land that there is here makes me think that if somebody was a really clever developer, they could put another house in the part of this land where my house is and everything else is. But you'd have to make access somehow. Maybe it would be a driveway right down this thing here that would go up to it. I don't know. But anyway, these things have to be made official. You can make a lot of money doing something like that too. A lot of money. Tens to hundreds of thousands. Okay, here we have the things that grow back here. The forsythias on the left, it was beautiful. In the middle there is a hydrangea. Didn't get much of any blooms off of this, 2 or 3. That was a disappointment, has been year after year, just not getting a lot of blooms off of it. Got to figure out what best I can do with that. I haven't been fertilizing it, so that's probably my fault. Here's transplanted hosta plants, which did very well. Of course, now they're going away, so they look crappy, but, they're certainly taking over. I forget what that is. This is lamb's ear. This next summer, we're going to take a lot of this stuff and cut it way the hell back. Make little pieces out of it and give it to the animal shelter when they have their plant fair. Judy's about to remove these. I wish I had a crap load of these little black-eyed Susans or whatever they are, daisy-like things. I love those. Except they're growing in all the wrong place and there's just not enough of them. One of my neighbors down the street here has a ton of them. They're gorgeous, just gorgeous. And from this vantage point you can see the second of 2 windows that I have put new shutters on. You can see what the old ones look like above. They're nowhere near as striking color-wise, but there's one on either side of that triple window there. Tough one to get to is the one on the left of this tree because it's going to be right in the way of any kind of work I need to do. The other 2 are over here. One you can see has already been removed. I got to drill them and put them on. Then I'll be doing the next one. And you can see the window below that I already did. So yes, all the new shutters going on. A little project for the summer. Also, my shed being painted. So yeah, this is the experiment this year of the big tub to grow in. It worked well. I've gotten a lot of trombocenos off of this. You can see that plant is pretty much dead. But the vine goes across the ground and it lives, especially out here near the end. And the same with this one that goes across past this bush way the hell out here. And it lives. It had tried to put some more tromboceno out, but as you can see, it's kind of rotting away. Where is it? Where is it? Doggone it, I can't catch it. There it is. Pretty icky looking tromboceno. It's not going to mature. So, anyway, this hosta, I cut this to about 1/4 the size. And it was almost this big last year at the end. And I cut it 1/4 the size, or 1/3 the size anyway, and put the pieces where you saw, and look at how big it is again. You can't stop this thing. So next year I'm going to be chopping big chunks again out of this thing to try to get it to be figure it to be at least half that size, maybe 1/3 that size, and the other parts chopped up into pieces and sold at the plant sale at the animal shelter here in Manchester. This is the experiment to see if I could grow 3 Brussels sprout plants out here without a woodchuck being able to get at them. Well, the woodchuck wasn't, and not too much of everything else, but I don't know why. They're not that big. They're crummy compared to the ones in the garden. And the ones in the deck are even worse. So The experiment did not work, but I think I found my solution now, which is those cages. So I don't know what I'll do with this next year, this little planter and the raised thing here, but we'll figure out something, but it's not going to be Trombosino, and it won't need the cages. We'll see what we grow. See if I can migrate more and more away from the back garden. Judy has bought some, I can't think of it, the mums, yes, chrysanthemums. And more of the various plants we have here. All right, what else is left? I don't know. Oh yes, this is a rhododendron. It bloomed long ago. It's huge and it's wonderful. We'll go where we haven't gone before. And this is this guy, which is the hibiscus. Still plenty more blooms. Pumping them out like crazy through the month here. See how many there are just in a cluster? So there's quite a few more of these ready to go. You have to keep deadheading them to keep it looking its best. But yeah, it probably makes a couple of hundred blooms and it bangs them out real quick. I wish, again, that this was spread out more. I wish it was slower. And I think certain types of weather, I've seen it spread out more, honestly. I've seen, I'm going to take a walk towards my rear deck and then we'll be done. And all the different garden areas of the house here. Oh, along the walkway there, down the end, you can see two bushes next to the house, and I trimmed those and trimmed those and trimmed those over the years. They were almost dead, but they're looking really good now, and they're shaping up to the shape I want them to be. And back here is a Japanese wonder plant, not in bloom at this point of the day. They're kind of like morning glories that only bloom at a certain time. When it gets towards dark, they'll bloom, and in the early morning, they'll open up and bloom. But I got the white ones and yellow ones. And then this little guy, I don't know what this is, but I just keep pruning it, trying to keep it looking a nice shape back here. It does okay in the crushed rock and the low light situation. That's back here. This garden really isn't much of a garden to speak of. It's way overgrown and I don't pay much attention to it, which shows. So there's a ton of weeds. This is Vinca, I think. And in the middle of it, popping up all the way through it, oh, what do you call it? Can't think of the name of it. It's very, very fragrant. And more of those plugs from the hosta plant that didn't do as well as the ones on the side by any means, as you can see. In fact, almost looks like they're shrinking or dying away. And there's a lot more of those, whatever I can think of the name of it, but they're very, very, very fragrant. We have them in a number of different places. Mostly I just try to keep this covered with mulch. It's the best I can do. I haven't really planted a lot of stuff back here. It would have to all be low light stuff and grow in really crappy soil. You know, so that's the back edge, you know, just not a lot to do with it. Right here there's a bush that's a I can't think of the name of that either. It's my brain, it's gone. I can't think of any of it. But a lilac, purple lilac. We got a few of them, but not very many. And the rest of it's just junk. Up on the deck, there's not much to show here really either, except what a failure it's been. I did get a little bit of cucumber from up here, and that's about it. And I think I'm going to be ripping other stuff out real shortly here. Some of it's already been ripped out. The squash that grew up here were a miserable failure. This plant here, pretty much of a failure too. Just not getting big, and bugs ate it. This cucumber one did fine. I think next year maybe I just put cucumbers up here. Maybe try cucumbers out of those planters or something, you know. But cucumbers seem to do okay. Her herbs do fine in these small planters, and she's got quite a few herbs here and there and everywhere. So this stuff soon will disappear. So that's about it for the back deck experiment. It's interesting to see this as you go through the year. What fails? You know, gardening is a total adventure. You never know quite what might work out. Here's the shed we're painting. Not painting, staining. And that's the wrong stain there. She put it on. I had to tell her it was the wrong one. So we'll be staining over that, but the whole thing is going to get restained. We'll be doing that, some of that this week, if not most of it. And the compost pile no longer used because I don't want to draw animals, so we're just letting this, I'm going to probably hoe it towards the back more and more, sort of spread it out, make it go away. Only a little at a time though, due to my back. And then there's all this masonry stuff I pulled away, and I don't know what I'll do with that. I could offer it to somebody. I don't know if how much of a use I have for it. Parts of bricks that from my walkway that it crumbles and everything, so it's just good for weight and stuff back there, see them. But yeah, probably majority of that can go back behind the shed. Stack some of it along the side, and certainly do need to reapply the crushed rock here just to make it look more consistent. Other than that, it's pretty good. Just some nice stuff to get rid of sometime. But yeah, you need more of a consistent fill of crushed rock all the way around here. I'd probably order a bunch of it. And just, you know, maybe in half a truckload or something, and just dump it out here and just spread it out all around this shed. And maybe a couple of other places out here. I think that's it. That is really probably the most large tour we've ever done. Come back to here and say goodbye.